Welcome to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. I'm Dave Orris, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this edition of Toastmaster Time. We're also privileged tonight to have a world-renowned Toastmaster as our evaluator. Please help me welcome James Jeffley. Hello, James.
Hello, Dave. I'm so glad to be here, and tonight we have two excellent speakers. We have Joel David and Justin Mendez, and I can't wait to hear what they have to share with us.
Well, James, I can't wait either. In fact, I'm going to get right into our show tonight. Our first speaker is a member of the Stagecoach Warriors Toastmasters Club. We're going to find out what that's all about. Please help me welcome Joel David. Hello, Joel.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're a member of Stagecoach Warriors.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That Stagecoach Warriors represents our Wells Fargo Toastmasters.
Hence the Stagecoach.
Correct. It's our logo.
So do you have a lot of fights around the office? Is that what the Warriors all about? Swords and shields or what?
No, it was more for the Golden State Warriors for basketball.
Okay, basketball. You're all basketball fans then?
Yes, most of us.
That makes sense. Okay, I couldn't imagine throwing things around the office. So how long have you been a Toastmaster?
Less than a year.
Less than a year, and you're already on television, but you've got some TV experience prior to this, right?
Yes, I was interviewed with my parents in Palo Alto, the hospital, Stanford Hospital.
So this is old hat to you.
No, but I'm just glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, too. And you live locally?
Yes, I live in Hayward.
In Hayward? Just short up, and you work in San Leandro with the...
Yes, I work in San Leandro. I work in the information technology division. I maintain 7 phone systems throughout the California region.
Just an average guy that found Toastmasters to be a benefit. And what is it about Toastmasters that attracted you?
Several years ago, or quite a bit of years ago, I ruptured my Achilles tendon, and I missed that esprit de corps, the camaraderie, the teamwork, and the goal-setting accomplishments that we have set in sports.
Well, we definitely have that in Toastmasters, the support. Well, I'm looking forward to your speech tonight. I understand it's something you compiled about choices. In fact, choices is the title. And are you ready to give that speech?
Yes, I am.
Everything you need? Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a second to take your position. While you do, I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about what to expect. Okay?
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here at Toastmaster Time, we tailor our program similar to a traditional Toastmasters Club meeting. You'll see prepared speakers and an assigned evaluator. Now, the evaluation is the key to the Toastmasters program. In fact, a good evaluation is what makes the process work so well. We're going to work our evaluator pretty well tonight also. So please help me welcome back James Jeffley. Hello, James.
Hi, Dave.
So you got your work cut out for you tonight. You're evaluating Joel David, and what is Joel's objective?
Joel will be speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual. He'll be doing project number 4, which is how to say it. And what I'm looking for is to make sure that he says the right words and has the proper sentence structure. I'm looking for rhetorical devices to emphasize his ideas, and also I want him to eliminate any jargon or unnecessary words. We want a clear message.
Okay, so you're going to be doing a lot of listening tonight. With that, let me bring on Joel. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel David, choices. Choices, Joel David.
In life, we have so many choices. Some are big, some are small. December 16th, 1944, particularly in the regions of Belgium and Luxembourg, our battle-hardened troops were replaced by non-combatant experienced troops. Little did they know that the choices they had to make that day were very difficult. They were only given basic training. Isn't that ironic in life? Sometimes we are only given basic training. So tonight I want to convey a message of hope and encouragement. What they had to go through in the freezing cold, out of country, some of their customs and foods unfamiliar. Yet they made a choice to stand there and fight for what they believed in. Sometimes we have to make hard choices. But I want to encourage you tonight that those men's choices did not go in vain. Just like the choices in life that you make today, they can propel you or they can hinder you. Those men in that particular region was in the Ardennes Forest, the Battle of the Bulge. The crack division of the SS troops with their Wehrmacht and tanks and troops and supplies, instructed by Hitler to go into Antwerp, into that region. And those men had to make a choice. They fought, some died, some were captured. What I want to convey to you tonight, the first thing is to stand your ground, because no one will do it for you. The choice is yours. Some of them stood there in fear. They cowered. They were cold. They were anxious. They missed their family. But the choice they made was to stand their ground. In life, there is certain things that you have to go through. You have to stand there and face your fear, whether it's a person, place, or thing. They slogged it out. They fought hard. And that's what I want to tell you tonight, my fellow Toastmasters, is that you have the ability locked in the inside of you to do anything that you set your mind to do. One of the things you must do, first and foremost, is to evaluate the position you're in. Do I have enough education? Do I have enough support? Am I being honest with myself? We have choices. The second thing you must know is you are not alone. The weather was very inclement. The fog came in. Our Army Air Force was not able to support our troops. But they knew that the support was there. And when the time came and the clouds disappeared, the Army Air Force was able to mobilize and destroy those tanks, and those men were relieved. Tonight, my friends, my fellow Toastmasters, guests, I want to let you know that the choices you make in life, whether they're good or bad, you can always, always repeat what you missed. Sometimes in life we don't make those right choices, but I want to encourage you that you are not alone. There are people on your corner, whether your friends, your families, and coworkers. The second step you must do, you must be honest with your evaluation of where you're at in life. You must be honest in the choices that you made. I made a mistake, but don't let those choices and mistakes that you made in your past hinder you for what is ahead of you. Because as a Filipino that I grew up here in America, I came here when I was 3 years old. I had some very difficult choices in my life, but I had a support group, and I knew I wasn't alone. I knew I was not alone. I want to encourage you tonight that no matter the situation or the circumstance in life, you are not alone. People are on your corner, on your side, but you must be honest and let them know that you need help. I need help. When I was growing up, my parents always taught me, son, no one's going to do it for you. You got to do it on your own. But that's not true. There are people around that can support you. Particularly in America, we have plenty of opportunities and choices. They're giving you grants, they give you school education, they give you housing, they give you plenty of opportunities. But the choices you make in life to enhance and further your life is most important. And what I want to convey tonight, my message of hope and encouragement, although those soldiers were desperate, in need of help, how ironic in life, we are in the same situation. I just want to encourage you tonight that when you have those choices in front of you, don't allow those choices to hinder you. Because sometimes when you're emotional, you make those choices, you may not make the right choice. So the very first thing, stand your ground. Be honest. Evaluate where you are in life and ask for help. With those things in hand, I hope that what I've given you may provide you the tools necessary to live an honest, laughing, and loving life. Thank you.
Joel David, thank you. James, I enjoyed that speech. How did he do against his objectives?
So did I. I think he had a great message about choices and the power of our choices. I thought overall he used the right words and appropriate sentence structure. There were a couple of places where the subject and verb didn't always agree, but overall I thought he painted pictures with his words, and especially using terms like crack troops and slogged it out.
Right.
It made me feel like I was actually there witnessing it.
I agree. I wrote that one down too. Slogged it out, inclement weather. All very good choice of words. I also noticed he put together some of the skills he had learned from his prior speeches, like the organization, where he reiterated his points of stand your ground and be honest with your evaluation, ask for help. I did a good job.
Very much. Clear organization, and I really appreciated his passion. You could tell he was very passionate about his topic, and I think that also adds a certain amount of credibility.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to our next speaker also. We've got to take a short break before we go on. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Toastmaster Time, a production of Toastmasters District 57 with the help of the Media Center in Palo Alto, California. We'll be right back.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. Our next speaker is a seasoned Toastmaster, a member of the Leadership Club, and also a member of our staff here at Toastmaster Time. Please help me welcome Justin Mendez. Hello, Justin.
Hey, Dave.
Fun to see you in this seat now as a speaker. I'm looking forward to your speech.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So I understand you're a member of the Leadership Club, which meets in Oakland.
Oakland on Wednesdays at East Bay Mud from 7 to 9.
And how did you find that club?
I was at a district event and I saw a couple speakers that I thought were really great. One of them was Eddie Cater, and I went up to him and talked to him a little bit. He mentioned Leadership Club, and then a little while later I was online looking through some things and I actually found this show, and Justin Lola was on there, and he also talked about the Leadership Club, and that was all I needed to check it out.
They sold you on it, did they? And how has Toastmasters helped you in your life?
Tremendously, mostly in my ability to listen, evaluate, and feedback information. I've always been pretty comfortable talking. I was a very loud little kid, as my parents will attest. So it was definitely the listening skills that I needed.
Probably the organization. I understand you've written a book also.
Sure, yep. It's called The Relationship You Really Want, and it's actually about communication in relationships.
Well, congratulations on the publishing of that book.
Thank
Looking
you
forward
very
to reading
much.
it. I'm also looking forward to hearing your speech. Are you ready to give that speech?
Very ready.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a minute to take your mark. And as you do, I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about how to find a Toastmasters.
All right.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not yet a Toastmaster, you're probably asking yourself, how do I become one? And the answer is simple. You join a Toastmasters club. There are literally thousands of clubs in the world in 126 countries. A little later in the show, we'll tell you how to find a club in your area. And once you join, I'm sure you'll agree with the rest of us that Toastmasters is one of the best investments you can provide for your future. Speaking of our future, we're going to take a glimpse into our future of our next speaker right now as we call back our evaluator, James Jeffley. Hello, James.
Hi there, Dave. Justin is speaking from the Competent Communicator Manual, and he's working on project number 2, which is Organize Your Speech. And his objectives are to create an easy-to-follow outline, to provide us with a clear message with supporting material, and use appropriate transitions. I'm also looking for a strong opening and conclusion.
Well, Justin's a seasoned speaker. I bet he's going to nail this one. Let's find out. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Mendez, a friend of mine, Justin Mendez.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to share with you the story of a friend of mine. A friend who had a dream of being part of a loving, supportive, beautiful family. For the sake of this story, we'll call her Deborah. When Deborah was 2.5 years old, she was given up for adoption along with her twin brother, Darren. They were put into the foster care system, which can be a great experience for many children. However, it was not a great experience for Deborah and Darren. Their foster parents were verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive. I remember a story Deborah told me about her foster parents when they finally adopted them. It was when the kids were 13 years old. And the reason their foster parents decided to adopt them was not because they loved the children so much. It was because a new law was passed that allowed them to get more money from the government by adopting Deborah and Darren than by just keeping them as foster children. Deborah and Darren now had a new mother, a new father, and a sister who was the daughter of their foster parents. Deborah's parents made her keep her hair cut very, very short, like a little boy. I believe it was because they were afraid that if she were allowed to grow out her hair, it would bring into question the beauty of their own daughter. Deborah told me one time about going to a roller skating rink. They had one color of roller skates for the boys and one color roller skates for the girls. For whatever reason, they were out of Deborah's size in the proper color. So that day, she wore boy roller skates. Now the time in the day came around for a couple skate. And Deborah skated over to a young man to ask him to hold hands and skate with her. The disco ball was spinning and a love song played loud over the PA system. But the little boy recoiled in disgust. He said, "I would never hold hands and skate around with a boy like you." And he called her all sorts of derogatory names. Despite this experience, Deborah held on to her dream of one day being part of a loving, supportive, beautiful family. Now, things weren't much easier for her brother Darren being a male. You see, Darren had epilepsy, which caused him to have seizures. His foster parents took him to the hospital once, but the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong. So his parents started saying that he was having the seizures simply to get attention. And Darren received no more medical attention, no more help for his seizures. You can understand why, when Darren was just 15 years old, he had finally had enough, and he decided to take his own life. So he went around the house and he found all the medication he could and he took it all and he went to sleep. He awoke several hours later, which is when he took a loaded gun, pointed it at his own stomach, and pulled the trigger. I know this story so well because I've heard it from Darren's own lips. I've seen the scar on his stomach. Darren told me that when he got out of the hospital, his new parents sent him to live with his grandparents. And they asked questions like, how could he do this to us? How could he do this to us? Back to Deborah, who was now alone in this home, still hanging on to her dream of one day being part of a beautiful, loving, supportive family. Because she knew that someday she would find her real parents. And she knew that she would discover that they were loving, compassionate people who, for some reason, out of their own control, had to give up their two beautiful children. When she was 18, she finally tracked them down. And I still remember the tone of disappointment in Deborah's voice when she told me about meeting her real parents. She found out that her mother was mentally unstable and that her father never even wanted kids. She also found out that after having Deborah and Darren, they had two more kids that they also gave up for adoption. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah is my mother. And can you blame my mother for being an alcoholic? Can you blame her for being physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive? Can you blame her for being just another link in this chain? She was following the only example she had. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here tonight to tell you that my mother is none of those things. My mother is loving, caring, supportive, sober, and she has beautiful long hair. She's an incredible mother and an incredible grandmother. She took the only example she was given, an example of how not to be, and she turned it around. She held on to her dream of one day being part of a loving, supportive, beautiful family. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here tonight to tell you, I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what challenges you've faced. But I do know one thing, and that's that no matter how many times life has torn you down, no matter how many times someone has tried to take your dreams from you, I'm here to tell you that your dreams are not gone. They're simply waiting for you to make them a reality.
Justin Mendez. Wow. James, I'm almost speechless after that. It's hard to do that to a Toastmaster.
I know. It was a very powerful story that was told well. Even though his objective was to organize your speech, sometimes we think, well, the speaker's going to come out and say, well, I have 3 points to make, 1, 2, and 3. And although Justin didn't do that, it was still so easy to follow his speech, from the story of the 2 foster kids to the transition to Deborah's experience, then Darren's experience, and then their experience post-foster family. And he was able to accomplish that just in the pure power of his ability to tell a story.
Exactly what I was thinking, the storytelling. And then the zinger when he threw in there who Deborah was.
Right. Did not see that coming.
No, neither did I. Very powerful speech. That could have covered a number of speeches, including some of the advanced speeches. Well, we've got to stop for a short break here, and then we'll come back and chat about our speakers when we get back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Toastmaster Time, a production of Toastmasters District 57 with the help of the Media Center in Palo Alto, California. We'll be right back.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Welcome back to Toastmaster Time, the show that has everybody talking. I'm here with our evaluator, James Jeffley. We've heard some fantastic speeches tonight. And James, I wanted to mention your fantastic speech also. We've heard some compelling speeches, and you've given compelling speeches. In fact, you brought something with you I'd like to show off. Tell us what this is.
This is the first place trophy for the semifinal round of the World Championship of Public Speaking. I won the Region 2 semifinals, and I made it to the final round of 9.
And where was that taking place?
In Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Isn't that amazing? Is that halfway around the world, or is it all
About. It felt like
it's
it.
not the end of the world, but you can see it from there, right?
Yes.
Did you notice some of the qualities of the speeches tonight were exactly what we saw in some of your competitors in Kuala Lumpur? Emotion.
Absolutely. People spoke with great emotion, with passion, with poise. They used vocal variety. They had great stage presence. They told stories, and they were able to really connect with their audience.
And that's what you did in your speech in Kuala Lumpur?
That was my goal.
I've heard it said to make a point, tell a story, make another point, tell another story, make another point, tell another story.
Exactly.
Is that kind of a good?
Exactly, because no matter where you were born in the world, you grew up with stories. Stories are universal.
Now, how has that changed your life to be at that level of competition?
It's really I have to tell you this, one of the most profound things that happened to me was this realization. There were about 3,000 Toastmasters there from all around the world. We're in 126 different countries. And at that place, I didn't see any division, nothing along political lines or religious lines or cultural lines. We were all Toastmasters.
All
and we were
3,000 of you.
all 3,000 of us, and we were there to support each other and to learn from each other.
Isn't that what Justin was talking about in his speech, was looking for support and community?
Exactly.
And I think that's what makes Toastmasters such a valuable commodity, is that support that we give.
Exactly, and Joel talked about that too, and asking for help in his speech.
Right.
That support being there.
So it all ties in. So I would say to the audience, if you're not a Toastmaster, now is the time to join.
There's a club in your area, wherever that may be.
Absolutely.
So find it. You can go to toastmasters.org, put in your zip code, and you'll find several clubs near you.
And if you can't find a club, you can always start a club.
You can start a club.
Okay. Well, James, it's been a pleasure having you on the show tonight, and I look forward to more of your speeches and more of your evaluations and any other role you'd like to fill on the show.
Great. Thank you, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you live in the San Francisco, California area or plan to visit in the near future and would like to join us here on Toastmaster Time. Contact us through our website, toastmastertime.com. To find out more about what's happening in District 57, visit d57tm.org. To learn more about Toastmasters, visit toastmasters.org. There, as James said, you can find a club, you can learn what Toastmasters is all about, or get help starting your own club. I'd like to thank once again our speakers this evening, Joel David, Justin Mendez, our evaluator, James Jeffley, and all the cast and crew here at the Palo Alto Media Center. And for all of us here on Toastmaster Time, I'm Dave Orris, encouraging you to speak up. Join Toastmasters.